Well, hello, friends. Welcome to the Know. And we've got tonight a couple of special guests that are going to be part of the panel again. We did last time on women in the paranormal, and it's part two of bullying. And I wanted to make sure we got a variety of different opinions as far as bullying and perspectives of how what they've dealt with and how to give us all a little bit of tips to hopefully help those who might be facing similar situations. So I have Maureen and I have Jen along with Elle and Thom tonight. And so I was going to have Maureen and Jen tell us a little bit about themselves. So we'll go with Maureen.
I just said I hate this part. I really hate to introduce myself. So my name is Maureen Grodzinski. I've always had ability since I was a young child, and I got extremely sick in 2016, and part of that heightened my senses, including my sixth sense. And I was unable to work a regular job going into an office. So I had to think quickly about what to do with myself. And I've always loved the paranormal, and I actually wanted to do something with it since I was a child. So I thought about doing tarot card readings and doing whatever I could with my blown up senses. So I opened a Little Witchy. I was also having some problems within our neighborhood, and somehow I got tossed into the ring to be the mayor of my town. So with that, it afforded me the ability to do wedding officiating, which this is actually one of my favorite things to do. That became Magical Matrimonials by a Little Witchy. And I had a very wicked divorce, unfortunately. And when I was leaving the chambers, instead of using some foul language, which it's one of my favorite words to use, the F word, I couldn't use that. So I told my husband, hex you, and that became a merchandise line. I'm also, I know. I'm also creating a children's book series, which is called A Little Witchy and Friends. And most recently, I have been working with my business partner, who ironically is in Scotland. He's nowhere near me. We met each other online through a couple of other people. And we started working about 2.5 years ago on some TV shows. And our first release show is going to be live. It's going to be on Lounges TV. It is a spy show, which is completely out of my realm, but I'm really loving working with him. It's called The Hitman's Nightmare, and it will be on Lounges TV. And then our next show is called Beyond the Shadows, and we're kind of interweaving the workings of it, even though they have nothing to do with each other and they're not going to collide. We did also record an album, and that was for another show that we are going to be working on. And the proceeds are going to go toward children who are underprivileged. It's called The Real Street Diary. So if you use any kind of music platform, you can find us there, or you can look under my name instead of The Real Street Diary, and his name is Alfie MacArthur. And other than that, I'm just, constantly working on any of those things. But I am really excited because I do get to work with Jen. On April 12th, we are going to be at her Paracon, Firelands Paracon, and that is also for a really great cause that's close to my heart. It is for domestic violence and sexual assault. So
Love that.
Really excited about that. And the Hex U also is for anti-bullying. So that's another reason why I'm here. I'm really excited to talk about that.
Awesome.
That's a lot. And I know I talk fast.
No, that's perfect. And Jen, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Oh, where do I start? I would like to add Maureen did not tell all of her punchlines.
What?
She is going to copyright What's in the Basement.
Oh, yes.
Whoa.
What's in the basement?
What's in the Basement? She
And I
forgot
forgot
about that one.
Dimensions of the Supernaturals, the podcast, too. I'm sorry.
So I'm Jen Jacobs. I have been investigating for over a decade. Oh, where do I start? I'm in Indiana. I started out with a team. Eventually, like I ran the team and I parted ways. And I started my own private team. And now I own Eerie Events. We host public ghost hunts. We host cryptid investigations as well because I am the Midwest Region 2 director of the North American Dogman Project. So I have had cryptid experiences, ghost hunting, haunted location experiences. So I've had a little bit of everything. I hold multiple conferences throughout the year. They all benefit domestic violence shelters. The Firelands Paracon that Maureen was talking about is going to be an annual event held in Sandusky, Ohio, the second weekend of April every year. So we already have 2026 scheduled. So we have that. This year it's April 12th. We're going to have morning mimosas with Patty Negri and friends. It's a psychic panel. Maureen's going to sit on that. We're going to have the Firelands Paracon. Santiago Cirillo will be there. Patty, of course, will be there. The Blue Bodie. Maureen, most of 24 Hours in Hell's Cast. Ron Murphy. I know I'm forgetting somebody. Oh, and for the psychic panel, Catherine Cirillos will be coming live to us from Greece remotely. So she'll be joining in on that. And then we have our public events. I talk with my hands a lot, so
We love
sorry.
that.
But August 23rd, I will have EerieCon, which features women of the paranormal. Rachel will be there. Maureen will be doing her thing, marrying people, so she won't get to come. But that will be in Vincennes, Indiana. And the investigation location is just about 30 minutes away in Illinois. It's a 12,000 square foot nursing home.
Oh.
That is now closed.
Wow.
And then in October, we will have Erie Expo featuring men of the paranormal. And that will be at Ashmore Estates. So there's more to come on that one. And all of these oh my God, all of these take donations, non-perishable donations for shelters. We have a raffle. We have an online silent auction that benefits the shelter as well. And right now we have a ton of donations for the silent auction, anything from gift baskets all the way up to overnight investigations at locations.
Amazing.
So that's all.
You have do you want to run the clip that we have? Because we have the Firelands. And then she also mentioned the 24 Hours in Hell. So you can run that.
Yeah, sure. I was really, so Maureen, you're a mayor?
Yes.
Currently?
No, I'm not.
Okay. My father was mayor.
Really?
Yeah, he was backed by Senator Dodd and his run. He was judge of probate and a bunch of other things. But yeah. And yeah, he actually was part of this J 33426, where we took all these paranormal cases, if you will, to the United Nations, and they met with Mohammed Rabidin, who was the president of the Parapsychology Society. He was very active in a lot of this stuff, and
wow,
yeah, so I thought that was kind of neat. So yeah, so I've got this one I can run real quick. It's loud. That one, okay.
You don't look like what she's been through. You would think that she's alright, but she has a way of hiding all the hell she's had to fight. When her smile outshines the darkness, you believe her lying eyes. She don't look like what she's been through, but she's been through the fire, burned down to the ground, but came out.
So that's an event in Ohio. So what's the event in Indiana, or what, did I misunderstand that? Is there actually an event in Indiana?
Yeah, that one's in August.
Okay. So
I'm putting that one together yet.
I have family in Illinois, Peoria.
Peoria. Is that how you say it?
Is that
Peoria?
anywhere near
Yeah.
where you are, Jen?
That's about 4 hours away, 6 hours
Wow.
away.
Yeah, it's a
I
long
have
way.
to Google it.
No, nowhere close, Thom.
All right, so this is the one about Hell House. You
Yeah.
want me to run that? Okay.
Yeah.
What's that?
Dude, no.
I feel like something's following me. Holy.
We invited investigators, all with different backgrounds and practices, to the Waldorf Hotel to spend a full 24 hours on location to get answers to the amazing phenomena that is Hell House. Get ready to see who survives 24 hours in hell.
Hey, all right.
Guys,
That was not bad.
I mean, she's ready.
Oh. Here.
Right on. That looks so exciting. I can't wait for it to come out.
Same.
Really-
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, so to talk about, I guess we'll delve into it about like bullying in the field. We had quite a few people on last time, and we touched on the subject, and a few others as well that night. I think we were on for quite what was it, like 2.5 hours or something like that.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. But I think Thom and I, before we started the show tonight, we're talking about the different types, that there are some actual different types of that's what I would call them, adult bullies out there. And that they kind of mentioned that like a tangible bully is also called a material bully, and they're one that typically holds like power over someone, like a boss or a manager, and they kind of have like the financial aspect of it, so they're the ones who control what your paycheck looks like, that kind of thing. The other one is a verbal bully, and that's self-explanatory. Someone who kind of goes around just like cruelly teasing, borderline harassment using language that's, trying to either be homophobic or racist or something of that nature. Then there's the passive aggressive bully, and that's one who does, gossip, sarcasm, hurtful jokes. They also kind of engage in like rude facial expressions, that kind of thing. Then there's the cyber bully, which, nowadays it seems like that is what a lot of what's happening. I know I've experienced some of that myself, unfortunately, in this, and it's sad, and it's in this field, which I, didn't ever think going into that was going to be the case, right? Go into something because you love it and because it's a hobby, and to be treated so unfairly and disrespectfully by people you consider your peers is it, it's pretty hurtful, so I wanted to really kind of just have an honest conversation about like what our experiences are and what happens and like why it happens and what we can do about it to kind of, try and stop it and at least, call it what it is. Like, because I think a lot of people don't talk about it out there. And I think that more people need to be doing that. So then, these bullies can't hide behind certain things. And the other type of bullying was like a more physical bullying. So that's kind of, they can exhibit like a whole range of behaviors that are like, violence, but most of them is showing like physical aggression. So I kind of wanted to start by asking Maureen and Jen sort of what your experiences have been like, and what kind of experience you've had with bullying, and kind of like how you dealt with it. So I guess we could start with Maureen, if you want to just kind of generally talk about kind of experiences you had.
I don't know. I don't want to say that I've been pretty safe. I don't get scared easily. So I think that that's kind of why I don't think people have really messed with me. There's one particular person that just bothers everyone. So that person isn't smart enough to leave everyone alone. And they've just kind of been sharking around everybody and doing this, I call it the stupid. So, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's bullying. It's more like blackmailing.
Yeah. Or is that harassment?
I'm sorry?
Or is it kind of like harassment?
Oh, yeah. It's harassment, defamation, slander, libel, blackmailing. But they're doing it to everyone. So I'm not letting it get to me. I'm just I fight back. I can't really say that I've had anyone else really bully me. Someone else tried to do that. But they didn't get away with it. I have a podcast, and this person tag teamed with another, and they were trying to steal my podcast. And then they tried to get
That's pretty brazen.
It is brazen. It's absolutely brazen. They thought I would be stupid enough to not realize that they were doing it because I was on vacation, but I'm fully aware of all of my surroundings and everything that's happening to me at all times. So I'm constantly working, and I keep a very close eye. I'm very observant. And I don't think they realized that I was listening to a conversation that was going on directly in front of me during breakfast.
Wow.
And I heard it all. Like,
well, that didn't seem like they were trying to hiding it then.
Are you low IQ? I mean, I'm sitting right in front of you with a group of people, and you're being a moron. And then you send me a message that you think went out to all of these people, and you're sending it to me after the fact, thinking that I wasn't going to see the rest of the message. If you're going to use technology, know how it works first, and know that all of the message is going to come to me first. I got the whole thing. Wow. I'm included in all of it. So I got it. And then know that if you're going to a place as large as the Battlefield Bash, know that I have connections there as well as you do, and know that everyone there is going to report back to me and tell me that you went and you bashed me to everyone there and they came back to me. I'm not an idiot. I have reporters as well. And then know that the people that were mutual friends, they all acted different after the fact. I'm going to get the information. And those people are now bullies too, because they chose a side, they're acting differently, and we're adults. You don't have to choose a side. You can still act normal.
Right. I mean, I think it's all called respect, right?
Correct. I can respect them. They can respect me in return, but that's not what happened. And now you're in an industry where if your meat suit dies and your soul is transferring to another dimension, that means you have a conscience and a consciousness. That means karma is also involved. That means you're going to get your karma when you leave here.
Full circle.
So everyone who's talking about, me being the bully, if you don't know the whole story, you're going to know after the show. That's why I also wanted to discuss that. And your karma now sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it comes full circle, right? Like it may
It
not
does.
happen tomorrow, it may happen next
Mhm.
week, but
Right.
you
And
never
there's a
know.
reason
It's
why
going to happen.
there's a reason why I stay quiet and I don't tell a story. It's because I have nothing to feel guilty about and I can sleep at night and I'm not, walking around stirring the pot like the other person or other people, I should say. I'm good with myself. I'm a good person. I don't need to act a fool and I don't need to betray people to get what I need. It's coming to me because you get abundance when you are a good person. And that's it.
I've always felt that being in service of others, being of highest integrity, eventually you do find your support system and you do find your friends in high places or other places, or even in paranormal world, otherworldly places. So it sounds
Mhm.
like you were saying you got your support system because it sounds like the type of bullying that you're dealing with specifically has to do with I want to say almost like the legal sense, trying to take your podcast, trying to slander your
Mhm.
name, trying to hurt your reputation. And
Right.
that, versus maybe just somebody who's on the internet, trolling, that's a totally different type of bullying. And it sounds like you've got some solutions like have a support system. You said to tell yourself you don't say much, and I think legally that's wise because it's like the more people talk, you never know who's recording. You never know who's going to talk to somebody. You never know who's going to say, yeah, he did say that about you, or yeah, I'm going to go in court and I'm just going to
Mhm.
confirm that he said that. I think that's a good solution is to stay quiet, have a support system, be the best person you can be so you can end up getting that more support.
Mhm.
Right?
And it's really interesting that you said that, Elle, because um, the people that are now acting differently, they were all the people that were saying she's she's the best psychic medium I've ever seen. She's she's got integrity and she's got, you know, morals and values and ethics and she's the most wonderful person and if something happened I'd want her on my team. Where are
There
they
you
now?
go. Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So the vibration became low and they dropped off. I want
Do
to
you
reach
think
for somebody who's higher.
Right. Do you think reputation also plays a part in it? Because I feel like if if we ourselves, if we want to prevent bullying, I don't think it can be prevented 100%. I said in the last panel, you
Definitely
could talk about ice cream and people are going to bash you. It just doesn't matter what you do.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, but it's like if you keep your reputation as high integrity as you can, I feel like that's part of living as honestly as you can. I feel like,
Right.
okay, even if I get bullied, I know my reputation is good. My integrity is good. So what does that say about the other person? Not too
Right.
much. Right.
Yeah, and I'm watching as I'm noticing little bits and pieces of these people that I once respected and valued so much, and I thought that they had the best integrity. And some of these people, I'm noticing that I look back and I think to myself, I saw this one little piece of them at one point in time, and I wish I saw that and like really thought about it and kind of like wiped it away back then and didn't hang around, because it bothers me when I think back about that. It, you know, now that I'm noticing more and more things coming out, that was the first like little clip of what they were like.
So in other words, they were showing the
Their
flags were
colors.
showing up long before they decided to kind of let the whole floodgates open, is what you're
Yeah.
saying. I've actually heard a very similar thing too, where someone said a lot, 9 times out of 10, the bullies start showing their colors very early on, but a lot of the times we don't catch it. Maybe because we're
Right.
too busy or we like them, especially if it's like somebody you're romantically involved with, you don't catch that, but other people do.
Like a
So
Love is
maybe
Blind kind of thing.
exactly. This is why I
Yeah.
think having a support system is your best friend, because you might not, you might be head over heels in love, but the other people aren't. So they'll say, listen, I saw something about that person that maybe you ought to watch out for, or
Mm-hmm.
this is how they act when you're not around, but I'm around, you
Right.
know.
It's
Yeah, and I
sad.
think it is. It's really sad. And I think that, sometimes we ignore away those kind of like what our intuition is trying to tell us, because we kind of try to go logical with it and give the person a benefit of the doubt. I think that's what I know I'm guilty of some of the times, is like what I always say at work, that I will trust you until you give me a reason not to.
Mm-hmm.
And I know other people whose philosophy is that they won't trust you until you earn their trust.
Right.
Right.
And I've always said,
So
like life ain't baseball. You don't get 3 strikes. Sometimes you don't even get a second strike with me. If you do get, you're very lucky to be in my life. So now I'm not even giving a second strike to some people, because I'm seeing the first time around that I'm starting to keep my like, I have a periscope now. It's just
Yep.
constantly swirling around looking for the red flags on everybody, which I was never like that before. And as an empath, it's
hard.
very difficult. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to do that.
I wondered, like, because, like our last panel, almost everyone had some sort of empathic abilities as well. And I think, that's what I know a lot of people that I've encountered in the paranormal field also kind of have those same sort of abilities. And that's what kind of heads them down the path of investigating paranormal. But, I'm wondering if that has something to do with the fact that, we all get bullied a little bit more because we're more sensitive. I don't know. There's
I
like
think
there seems to be some commonality there.
Do you guys think that either you're an empath or a narcissist?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, now I'm trying to think.
by narcissist, do you mean like the psychological definition of a narcissist?
Yeah, like I'm starting to think that either you're an empath or you're a narcissist.
Oh, I see. So you're saying you got people like there's 2 groups of people in the world in general. You either got the empaths and then you got the narcissists, and maybe you got the people in between, the mixes, or the people who don't even know they're either of them.
I don't even know if there is an in between anymore.
Mm, mm.
And I think that the narcissists are the bullies, and then the empaths are the ones that they just hone in on. Jen, what do you think?
I think everybody's an ass.
There we go. There's the answer.
You were too
Yeah,
quiet.
that's the truth. And there comes Thom.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
No, Thom. That's
What do you
Tom's
think?
cue.
What
Thom.
does Thom think?
I mean,
He's like, I'm out.
Yeah, I saw that. He dipped in and then he dipped out. Go ahead, Jen.
it's like
Go
I
ahead,
have
sorry.
nothing more to say. He just jumped in, laughed, shook his head, and said bye.
I really wonder though, because you're either like so drawn to, because I truly believe that empaths are here and narcissists are very drawn to them, and we help and help and help and help and help until we're so exhausted that we have to catch our breath. But then we just go back to it when we're so new at being an empath that we exhaust ourselves again until we realize that what a narcissist truly is, and then finally we walk away from them until they go find another empath.
Okay, it almost is like, kind of reminds me of the moth to the flame. The
Yes.
flames are the empaths and the moths are the narcissists. Okay.
Yes.
Here's what I've seen. This, and I got a question for everybody to just give me your thoughts. So I've have a theory that when you are more empathic, more sensitive, more psychic, you tend to wear down quicker than other people. Okay,
Yes.
that's a given.
I think so.
But it's that wear down, that it's that, like, that feeling of being drained, of being vulnerable, let's say, that almost is what attracts the opportunist, aka the narcissist. So that's when I said, okay, then I would think awareness and self-care can play a big role, and maybe not 100% preventing bullying, but at least keeping you on your toes. Like, well, what are your thoughts on that? And if you think, okay, self-care is important, do you recommend any self-care to kind of help the drained empath after a while?
Yes.
People just generally suck, I think, and I've become very guarded, because of that. I think that's another thing. I think when you're hurt or backstabbed or you're good to somebody and they turn on you like that, you get cold, right? You're like, you don't let people in anymore.
A mom, as a wife, as a boss at my regular 9-to-5 job, and then having, the whole paranormal team and thing, all of it. It just seems like, that self-care is probably highly important, and can contribute. Maybe one of those things that does weaken us down a little bit more, because it's like, I got all this stuff to do. Well, I don't want to have time to worry about that,
Right. I found myself when I've neglected self-care, like I didn't get enough rest, didn't drink enough water, didn't eat enough of the right foods, didn't meditate and take the time out just to kind of breathe. I find that's when I'm more on edge. And because of that, I think that makes me more prone to conflict, which can attract the people who like the conflict, aka the bullies. So I find sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit like, hey, what's going on with everybody? I tell them, wait a minute, did I take care of myself? And sometimes, say maybe 50-50, it's like, I didn't take care of myself. I got to duck away. And that's what I do. It's better to be, I think, a live chicken than a dead duck. Sometimes you just got to bow out. Yeah.
I like that. I was going to ask Jen what your experience has been with bullies in the field.
Well, I actually have a question. Elle had just made me think of something. So when you're really stressed out and you go on like Facebook and you see these people bullying and they say certain things about your event or they say certain things about your friends, do you snap easier when you're at that point?
I would have to say there is a likelihood, yes. Now, I have very rarely snapped online. Sometimes I'll literally just write it out on paper and then tear it up, because the way I see it is, if I get triggered and I show that trigger, I just showed these people, whoever they are, whether they're trolls, bullies, narcissists, whatever you call them, I just showed them that I can be controlled in that respect. So I do find that when I'm more, I guess, negligent of myself and
Mhm.
I'm not 100% because of lack of rest, food, water, whatever, um, I will be more sensitive. And I know that. And sometimes knowing that, that's half the battle, because I'll say, okay, I'm not getting on social media, or I'm going to check social media just to take care of logistics, but that's all I'm going to do. And then it's almost like stop. Just got to kind of, again, draw back. Nothing wrong with that. Yes, Tom.
So I want to jump in for a second because my father would say, "You've got to nip it in the butt right away because cancer spreads." And then the other side of that too, is does that reflect on you now that they've had enough power to trigger you? But then again, if you don't say anything, are you condoning and enabling? So
It's
it's
a
a
ping
tough
pong
spot.
game. Yeah.
It's a really tough spot to be in because if you've ever watched football, right? Somebody pushes a player and then the guy who pushes back is the one who gets ejected.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
anyway,
I'm gonna have to agree there, Tom. It is a dance. It's like this, and it's no situation is going to be
Perfect.
black and white, never.
Yeah.
Sometimes you could say, hey, I nipped it in the bud, and then you realize a month later, I didn't have to do that. It took care of itself. Or you said I should have nipped it in the bud. Now it's out of control. You never know. And that's
Mhm.
kind of where you have to kind of forgive yourself, do the best you can, but be as professional as you can. And for me, I take the extra step and say, okay, other than the legal and the professional danger, if you want to call it that, or the liability, is there anything that's a personal trigger that I can work on? Something that's just bothering me so that I know I can't get personally triggered. So I work on those triggers. I work on what personally bothers me so that I can say, okay, let me focus on just the professional liabilities. Let me focus on just the legal liabilities. Let me focus on just the publicity and the marketing. That's when I know, okay, I'm still being honest, still living out as professionally as I can. But it's a dance and it's exhausting. So that's why you got to do self care.
I think sometimes you can also, if you know who the person is, you kind of know who they are, and you can kind of weigh your options as to whether do you respond or do you not respond, because you kind of know they've been doing this for so long. Do you kind of now handle it, or do you let it go?
But no, I see what you mean. The same question, and sometimes facing them head on and literally just confronting them is
Mm-hmm.
all it takes for some people.
Right. Because I think we talked about in the last podcast was about not playing the victim. Right. And one of those things about not playing the victim is, calling a spade and saying, like, hey, knock it off. I don't treat you that way. Don't treat me that way. Don't talk to me that way. And sort of having, I think one of the things we talked about was eye contact with them too, and saying those kind of things, because they tend to back away when that happens.
This is
Because
true.
I think ultimately they're insecure, and that's what's showing.
I think that's a big part of it. And they're insecure and they're opportunists and they're a little bit on the cowardly side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now granted, there's the other types of bullies and narcissists where if they're going to physically hurt you, different story. I'm talking about the kinds that are just verbally mean, or the ones that are mean spirited and snarky. The ones that are physically going to hurt you, you need help. You need to get somebody in line or worry about your safety first. It's about prioritizing the types of bullies you got. But all other types, yeah, they're insecure. They're weak,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I agree. And I remember, like, and this was a long time ago, so I don't want to say exactly when, but in like middle school, I think they started talking about like bullies in middle school, and kind of the whole analogy that stood out to me was they used to say you didn't have to um, like make someone else's candle grow brighter to or what was it exactly? It was like you didn't have to blow someone else's candle out to make yours glow brighter.
I see. I see.
And I
Yeah.
was just like, oh, that made a lot of sense to me, because it was kind of like, why do I need to tear somebody down just to make me feel better? I mean, that's, I think, definitely one way to look at it.
We're seeing a lot of that, though.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Yeah. And I'm
The
afraid,
idea-
like, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say the idea that life's a zero-sum game. If somebody wins, that means you lose. So therefore, you have to make that person lose in order to look better. It's a very, I think that's where they say home training and better education is the key there. But that's a whole different story there.
Yeah. Well, I think the other part of it that we talked about was the whole societal influence that's happening as well, because we're seeing a lot of that play out even in our government, down to like it's happened still in schools. And so now you're having at work, in workplace, at school, at government, it's like you can't get away from it. You know,
Yeah.
so I think it does come down to like really getting a set of tools that you can use to deal with it in some way, shape, or form.
Agreed. Agree. Absolutely. There's a
Yeah.
certain like emotional intelligence that I think comes I think if I wish schools had emotional intelligence 101. You know, I think
Yeah.
people would be different if they learned how to handle their emotions, how to handle rejection, how to handle bullies, how to handle arguments and disagreements in a way that's conducive to harmony rather than being right or knocking the other person down. So
That would be great, but they don't even teach you how to write out a check at school anymore.
that's
you
true.
know?
I
The
learned
balance
that
of
the
the
hard
checkbook.
way. I learned that the hard way at work, because we had some, maybe I'll be nice and say, I guess they're not millennials, but it's the next generation.
Is it Gen X?
No, before
Gen Z?
millennial, like come after millennials. So what is that? Zillennial? What do they call that? I don't know. But anyway, we had a couple of them at the office, and they didn't even know how to address an envelope.
See?
They didn't even know that you had to put a stamp on it. They put it in the pile for the mail to go out, and it didn't have a stamp on it. And I was like, how do you not know how to mail it? Put a stamp on an envelope and address it and put it in the mailbox. But they didn't even know. Like, most of them never seen a check before, didn't know. Like, we have at work where they might our patient may leave like the payable to line blank for us to fill out, which we have no problem doing, but they just like put it with the deposit slip with nothing on there. And I take it to the bank, and the bank's like, we can't take this. It has no, and I was like, I didn't even know it was there. I didn't know they just stuck it with the deposit slip. And I was like, what are we teaching kids?
Send it to the Firelands Paracon.
Yes, exactly.
There you go.
For liability, Maureen said that, not me.
I like that. Do you guys think I think humor plays a big role in being able to maybe even in some cases prevent bullying, or at least being, building like a tough shell against it. Yeah, I think humor is a huge part. Maybe not, in terms of like finding the funniness and everything, and then not taking yourself so seriously. I think that's another trait that, the narcissist, the bullies, they like to pick on people who maybe are a little bit insecure in their own right, or they take themselves way too seriously. But I've found that people who have more humor, people who don't really take themselves too seriously, they seem to have a better time getting along, and they're less bullied, I think, from my experience.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think the narcissist or bully likes to try to wear everybody out.
This is true.
Yeah.
It doesn't
They
matter
do
who
do
you
that.
are. They just try to wear you down to the point.
Mhm, mhm.
That you have
Do you-
nothing left in you, so they just
Yeah.
take you out.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think
Well,
it's
that's what they're playing.
possible to create an environment where you're not maybe so, even in a professional environment, like whether you're going to a paracon or whether you're going, to meet with other people or whether you're going to a haunted house, do you think it's possible to create an environment that can at least maybe deter narcissists or bullies? Like with certain projection of attitude or certain people around you or certain mindsets. Do you think that's possible?
I think it might be difficult because I just think it's almost like it's like a personality that you can't, that you just don't mesh with. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I think I could have a great mindset, but it doesn't mean that other person is. Same thing with like my intentions are different than somebody else's. So I think it's hard to be able to do that.
You know what though, Rach? Oh, you made a good point. The more I'm thinking about it, I'm like really thinking about the people who are more like us, and we tend to flock to places that are, fun loving, lots of laughter, lots of joy. You don't see a lot of them at the same places.
This is true.
I mean, they might be at that place, but for a different reason.
Right. Exactly. Like their intention is to
Different.
maybe to stir the pot.
Right.
That's why they're going to one of those events. We might be there because we're going for a good cause, for
To have fun.
to do something we enjoy doing. And they're just there like, hey, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to create havoc, right?
I like the
Yeah.
gesture. The pot. I love it.
Stirring the pot.
Cauldron.
It's my little, yeah, exactly what I was going to say. It's my
Some of them you need a really big pot for, though. They like to stir it so much.
If you think about,
that's
like,
the thing.
You need
Like
an oar, not a paddle.
Yeah.
If you think about like a high school bully,
Mhm.
going to like a carnival, right? So they're going to get into a fight in the parking lot, whereas everybody else is already in there on the rides or getting snow cones or whatever.
Good point. They're
Different
going to be in a place,
Yeah.
so they're going to be in a different environment that fits that intention versus
Right.
if you're going there to have a good time and to granted, yeah, you still got to watch your back if there's a bully in the parking lot, but again, that's where personal safety protocol comes in and
Right.
things.
And then they look like the clown.
Correct.
Yeah. Exactly. They're like, mic drop.
Yeah. Good job, Jen.
I wonder if you guys noticed any difference in like genders, whether, I think we started talking about how maybe whether there are more men bullies out there or women bullies. I know statistics are saying that 69% of bullies are men. And it says also 60% of all the bullied targets are women. So I found that kind of interesting. And then it also said that women bullies chose to bully other women.
Okay.
So,
and that was 68% of the time. Those are kind of what's the stats out there if you research online a little bit.
So would you like my answer to this?
Yes, please.
Yes.
We're all waiting.
So I was taking notes. Have my little notes here. I was listening to you guys, things, writing it down as I go. So I've only had a couple of female bullies. And most of my bullying comes from the cryptid community because that's mostly men.
And that's men, yeah.
Interesting.
So, I'll start with the paranormal, the ghost hunting side, and then I can go on to the cryptid because that's more juicy. And
Okay, we're waiting for the juice.
so the first, I really haven't got it from a whole lot of people in the paranormal ghost hunting side, but I have had several women say, and not the men, well, why do you hold a women's event? Why don't you just hold a men's event? Why is it about women? I'm like, fine, I'll hold a men's event then. And then they come back and say, well, why are you having a men's event?
You're like, can I win at all?
And my comment is, why don't you go check out the women's event too? Because of people like you, I have to have two different ones. And they're like, oh.
Did you mean to do that while you said that?
I don't know. Maybe. Multiple times.
She said she talks with her hands.
I
was
do.
like,
Both
That
the same.
was conscious.
I love you.
So are we allowed to say names?
uh,
Do you want a lawsuit?
Oh no, this is documented.
Oh boy.
Can I just tell you, is he going to edit this?
Thom can edit. Thom.
Thom. That's Thom.
He was walking into this woman's house and she was walking in front of him, and he had his camera on her ass the whole way up the stairs.
Oh,
When he got into her kitchen, his camera was down her shirt. And while they were talking, his phone was going off the whole time, and he was ordering his lunch. He's not a priest.
That's
he actually
beyond.
wears a priest costume. Mm-hmm. And Jen, after all that, he friended me, and I refused to accept it.
So
he's just inappropriate all the way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
You'll have
sounds
to look
like
him
it.
up. I blocked him, so I can't share with you.
Oh, I see a kitty cat.
I know.
Yeah.
Meow.
He made an appearance at the last one too. Where he was just
Yes,
sitting.
he did.
Is it he or she?
It's a girl. It's a little orange girl. So
She's
yeah,
so pretty.
I know.
cute,
She's so cute. What's her name?
It's Hidomi. It's Japanese.
Hidomi? Japanese.
Yeah.
Oh.
You got it. Hidomi. Yeah.
I think
Look
one
at
of the
her
things
eyes.
that you said, Maureen, too, about like when we were talking about the self-care portion, you said Reiki, right? And I think that is an awesome way to shift your energy, right?
Yeah. So I was told to take Reiki classes when I found out I was really sick. And they said that it would help me because when you do Reiki, it comes back to you. But I felt that was really selfish, and that's not who I am. So then I started to practice Reiki, and I found that not only was it so helpful to other people, and even distance Reiki, it was helping people so quickly. But I don't know how to put I don't know how to put a barrier up between being a conduit and using my own energy, because I'm an energy worker and an energy mover. So if I use my own energy, it's like it heals people like that quickly. But when I'm also using my own hands, to heal someone, it's really weird because my psychic mediumship goes through the roof. It's crazy.
Oh. So it's almost like because you're touching them, you're getting information, a lot of information that way.
Even quicker than I normally would. And I'm also a physical psychic medium. So like driving through a battlefield for me is insane because I can feel how people are sick or how people passed away or whatever. It's like I drove through, it was terrible. I was driving through Bull Run with my family on my birthday, and they live in Virginia. So as we're driving through the battlefield on the way home from dinner, I probably ate too much and fell asleep because I said, please don't drive through the battlefield. You know what happens. And when we drove through, my uncle completely forgot, and it shot me straight up, and it felt like I was struck through the forehead with a bullet. And this man's face just formed in front of me, and I was describing what he looked like, and then I said, please somebody write these names down, and I was giving first and last names, and it looked like like an old muster roll with all these names. And my aunt and my ex-husband were like typing names into their phones, and when we got back to their house, I couldn't breathe, and I was pacing, and I still felt like bullet wounds in my legs and my arms and whatever. And the guy that I saw, he was like, I guess like the colonel or whatever. And all the names that they had were on the muster roll of the deceased of Bull Run.
Wow.
And then we found out that that particular muster roll was from the date of July 21st, which was my birthday.
Oh, wow.
It was the weirdest thing. It was really crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's
that is
So-
nuts.
That's what happens to me, and I just can't help it. But I can, because of being an energy mover and worker, I can literally take something out of someone, whatever is hurting, or like even heartbreak, and just like swoosh it out of a door.
Yeah, that's what I was doing the last weekend. I was with some friends, and we were going to do an investigation, but they're both, two of them are energy workers, and they did Reiki, and they have this really cool, I guess, healing table that has like Tesla coils
Oh
at
wow!
the head,
Oh.
foot, and one underneath, and then they use that in combination with like light therapy, and then frequency therapy with headphones. Oh my gosh, it brought up a lot.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it was crazy, but afterwards I felt pretty great.
Yeah, that's
But
gotta
during the
be.
moment, it was a lot.
So, what does it feel like as you're being healed?
Well, I got a lot of like visual like stuff. At first it was like the only way I could describe it was like a mandala of geometric shapes
Mm-hmm.
coming through, and then I got a color like it was purple, and it was just like swishing through this way, swishing through that way, and then all of a sudden my grandmother came to my mind, and I've been working with another lady who's helping. She's a channeler, and she's kind of working with to help with open me up a little bit more in healing, so that I can experience and help people more myself.
Yeah.
But she said that my grandmother is my spirit guide, she wants to be a spirit guide, and the way she can do that is she has to like work with me, and then she can like level up.
Yeah.
And so she was the one that came to my mind right away. And then after that, my mother came to my mind, and then all these emotions like came over me, and I just started crying. But after all of that was released, like I felt like so much better. But so hopefully that was like trying to break through something there that was blocked.
It's a very freeing feeling. It's
Yeah.
I was somebody who never cried. It was like a weakness. That's what our family taught us. It's a weakness if you cry. And I had that happen, and I was in the middle of a circle of people who I've never met in my life. And then I have that happen, and all I feel is like hot, wet all over my face after I'm going through this meditation. And I just felt this woman hand me a tissue, and I was like, oh shit. And I had tissues on my face, and I'm thinking, thank God for waterproof mascara. And then all I hear is, okay, so we're going to pass this bag around, and whatever letter matches your letter, you're going to read that person tonight. And I was like, oh Christ, like I just never did this before, and now I look like this. I'm like snots and purple face and God knows what. So yeah, but it felt so good to get that out because there's so much trauma in somebody's life, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
And it's meant at that moment.
Yeah. And that's what, they were kind of forewarned us that it was going to be like, it could, like a number of things could happen on that table. Like where she's like, some people cry, some people laugh hysterically and they can't stop. Some people feel sick where they throw up, some people, she's like, it's kind of TMI, but some people like even have diarrhea or whatever for a few days. And she's like, whatever just needs to get out of their body, whatever way it manifests out is right for that person. And so I was like, please don't let it be the diarrhea one. No.
So can they like manifest fat out of my body?
Yeah.
Like,
wouldn't that be nice then?
Oh my God.
That would be a miracle, wouldn't it? You don't even have to pay for it.
I know.
No liposuction for me or gym membership.
There you go.
You don't want to work for
a
it.
win-win.
Right?
I'd be the same way. I always say that like it would be great if we could take the vacuum cleaner with the attachment, just a cuticle scissor, and use like bathroom surgery.
I always wanted to donate mine so I could get a tax write-off.
Yeah.
You can put some in my butt.
Yeah, that's true. Some people move that around. I had like friends that I used to joke all the time with, like my best friend in California, that she had humongous boobs, right? And they were causing her so many problems with like her back, and so she finally got a breast reduction. But we always used to tease, like I would be like, you could donate some of that to me, like if you want, I'll take it.
I did that with my sister. She would be like, you got it all. And I'm like, you can have it. We'll just like lay on a table and be like BOGO, like we'll just transfer it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend, we've known each other 30 years probably. And she's big on the top and I got a big old booty. So if we stand like side by side, we look perfect.
There you go.
I got the butt. There you go.
Nice combo.
Or I did back in the day.
Oh. I think I'm reminded, just like I was reminded last time, I think it's the humor and also the passion for why we're doing this work in the first place that is going to be one of the, if you want to say it, like one of your strongest weapons against bullying.
Yeah.
It's about like working with the end in mind, and it's about why did you come here to begin with? Like, let's face it, there's very few billionaire, if any, or millionaire paranormal investigators. I don't know
Yeah.
any. So we're
I
doing
know
this as
one.
labor of love. One. Okay, one out of millions. So we're doing this as a labor of love. And
Right.
I think it would be unfortunate if people left because they forgot the love of what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, we got to remember, why are we doing this at the end of the day? Because again, I just think no matter what we do as a passion, there's always going to be somebody trying to tear people down. It's just a fact of life. So it's like, I find the ones who are the most successful are the ones that, well, they don't care, like, or they have a good legal team, they have a good support team, but a lot of them, they're just like, I don't have the energy anymore to deal with that. They'd rather put their energy into what they do. Um, so I think that's kind of like big takeaway I'm taking from here is like we got to remember why we love this so much.
Yeah. I know. And that's the biggest thing too. I keep thinking about like that I just want to sit and focus on me. Like I don't care what anybody else thinks or what anybody else does. If I love it, and I'm going to continue to do it.
Same.
Yeah.
I don't care
Same.
if I get broke because I'm driving around from state to state, going to every single haunted location on the planet.
Take me with you.
Yeah. Listen, I've crossed over. I don't even know if I want to call, because I truly believe that all we're doing is hopping to a different dimension. I truly believe that something changed from the first time that I passed on to the second time, because they were totally different experiences. And I'm wanting to get closer and closer to the answer to what is happening when we do this. And I really believe that the last time that this happened to me was the last time it's going to happen to me. I really believe that. And I have reasons for that. Maybe we should discuss that sometime. But I don't know. It was a very different feeling. And that's the answer that I want. And I told somebody one time, I want someone to flatline me to see what happens. And I don't care if I come back, because it was truly unbelievable what happened the last time. And it was so peaceful and so calming. And it had such a familiar feeling to something that happened when I was a kid, that it would be worth it just to have an answer.
Agreed. I think we did talk about that a little bit last time too, about how everybody wanted to kind of like do a paranormal roundtable that really just dove into like the questions we're not asking. Like, right? I think they were talking about the question was about like, where are you communicating to us from?
Right.
Not like, are you in this house or you're da-da-da, it's like.
Did you notice that they never answer those questions? They never answer those questions.
I wonder if they're just not, if there's certain, I don't know.
They're not allowed
this idea. Yes. I think that there's rules and parameters, and so you're going to say if you're interacting with the living or those on the physical plane of existence, these are the rules or guidelines you have to abide by.
So if you're a good person or a bad person on Earth, that spirit is going to have those characteristics or markers, I would think. And if that person was a woman, she's going to respond like a woman. That's why prisons respond more to women. These are your words, not mine. That when you go to prison, right, the guys there, they're like, hey, I'm going to talk to her. I'm going to pat her on the butt, right? That's what happened. We talked about that, right? It's not like a guy doing that. Well, it could be. Who knows? I'm not judging or anything. But I'm just saying the characteristics of that person who passed remains. Correct? So
the belief is
right. So that's where I'm coming from.
We have more questions than we do answers, right?
So if you've got a belligerent, loudmouth, narcissistic ghost hunter who hates women, right? And he passes on, and don't you think he's gonna say whatever he feels to you, which may not be nice or what have you, versus someone who's got a good heart, was a good person, genuine like you guys.
Because we were talking about boobs and booties. Just wait for him to chime in.
Yeah. I'm glad you went there. Really glad you went there. Yeah. I was like, these are my kind of people.
Jen is
like, yes, I know.
If somebody mentioned a big booty and stuff, I'm like, seriously? I gotta, these guys are awesome.
Thom, she's luring you in. She's using buzzwords to see if you'd come in.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't want to.
She's like, I'm disappearing
now.
She's
embarrassed now.
I didn't know. I have a tendency to talk a lot on the show, so I thought the best thing for me to do would be to take a back seat, so I didn't interrupt you guys. But it was nice meeting you guys too. And don't get me wrong, you guys can have another hour if you want to. I'm just kind of hanging out here and trying to give you guys some space and work with the videos.
It goes by so fast.
It did go by fast. You guys are so much fun to talk to.
Aw, we feel
and
the same.
so
I love having it. Yeah, we love
super
having you
intelligent
guys on the show. I appreciate you guys coming on and talking
Thanks
about
for having us.
this hard subject.
I think it's always good to discuss.
Somebody wants to say hi.
Hey!
Hey.
Oh,
You have a cat.
What a
I have a
cutie.
kid.
Aw.
he's wearing clothes.
It seems to me that those who become the most annoying and disrespectful and belligerent, narcissistic, cocky are all the ones who are a flash in the pan. The ones who did like one or two shows and suddenly they're rock stars. And all of a sudden I was on, Spike TV for 15 seconds and my shit doesn't stink now, right? It's not the Travis Waltons. It's not the, some of those who really matter. It seems to be the ones who got on some TV show. They've got a few series out, or a few episodes, I should say, on a new series, and they just have this high opinion of themselves, and suddenly they elevate themselves to a level that they really don't deserve to be, and they forget that some of the people or women or what have you are at a higher level already and have been, but they're genuine and sincere. Their lives don't revolve around the 15 minutes of fame they had. I had a couple of drinks and I'm liable to say anything.
You know
Yeah.
what is
What
the
you said.
nicest?
What's that?
Going on what you said, Tom. This little girl came up and like they were walking around and I had my women's event thing out there. She did not even acknowledge that I was doing something for women in the field. Turned her nose up and kept walking by, and Tamla was like, "Did you see that? She just walked by. She didn't even acknowledge it." I said, "Yeah, I know." And then she was walking with Steve, and this little girl runs up to him and she's like, "Can I have your autograph?" She looks at this little girl, snubs her, and turns around and walks off. He gets down eye level with this little girl, talks to her, and signs his autograph.
Aw.
Wow.
And we were like,
Nice.
that is so awesome of him.
A lot of what happens to those, it's timing. Right place, right time. Somebody, they're shooting a film.
enough,
You fit
yeah.
the bill. Maybe you don't really deserve it, but let's run with it. Those people you meet on the way up and on the way down are going to be part of your life either way. So try, be nice to people. There's no reason to be an
Yeah.
asshole. And
No, I
feelings
like
like
that.
kids can be mean, right? Those scars that you have during school, they'll follow your life. I mean, I don't think people realize that what they say, how the words and things that they do and say can affect someone for a lifetime. I mean, we've got 3 families of mayors here too. So, who's laughing now, right? So
That's right. When I
Right.
was younger,
Yeah.
I in junior high it was. So 7th grade, 8th grade, and up to like November of my freshman year. My mom was a teacher in the school district I was in. And Jen, I think I told you this. Did I tell you this?
Tom needs to switch me off and you in the
Oh
big
my God.
box.
I like looking at your beautiful face though.
My gray
So-
hairs.
You don't want to see mine right now. I need a haircut desperately. So I stood up for this girl on the school bus, and she was autistic,
Aw.
and the cheerleaders were like horrible to this girl. They were
Aw.
ripping her to shreds. And the last time something happened to her, they all were chewing gum, and at the same time they slapped this gum in her hair and they just pushed it all together.
Have the women's event on August 22nd through the 24th in Vincennes.
Yes, I'll
And
be there.
we will have
And it's my
that-
birthday. That's right.
Ooh.
My birthday is the 22nd. I'll be the big
Aw.
50.
Aw.
Get out of here.
See, she looks like she's like
Like
23.
3-0.
She frozen.
But that will be in Vincennes. That's a fundraiser too. And then we'll be investigating Haunted United Methodist Village, which is 30 minutes away in Illinois.
I love it.
It's a huge
A whole
old nursing
village.
home. Then September, we are doing something for World's Largest Ghost Hunt. We have,
Oh, yeah?
this is kind of in your neck of the woods too. We have Woodlawn Estates on the 26th and Bentonville School on the 27th in Kentucky.
Oh, that's real close.
Yeah.
For me,
And
it's
then-
not even that far.
And then we all have Rock Island on October 4th.
That's right. We do.
Not
Woohoo.
me.
And then you're not going?
No, I was not invited.
I thought you were supposed to be there.
No. Mm-mm.
You can go with me. Go with me and Becky. We'll
That's how you
stuff
do
you
it.
in our
Just
luggage.
invited.
And then Erie Expo for the Men of the Paranormal is at Ashmore Estates on October 11th. And we'll have more on that.
Where
And-
can everybody go to find those dates if they can't? Is it on your?
It's on erie.events.
Okay, perfect.
And then Firelands has its own. It's firelandsparacon.com.
Perfect.
I know we have a lot.
Oh, that's great. I'm excited.
And somewhere in between there, I'll be going to Cedar Point, which is in Sandusky too. So,
And there's going to be lots of empaths there having fun on the rides.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Is there anything you want to share, Maureen? Else?
Okay, so I will be at the Firelands Paracon
Mhm.
on April 12th.
Candyman.
Let's see, March 19th. The Hitman's Nightmare is going to be on Lounges TV, which is going to be a pay-per-view. You can check out my music on any music platform. You can look up under my name, or you can check out The Real Street Diary. I have 3 songs. One is actually a dance song.
Oh, hey. There you guys got something in common.
Yeah, we do. 2 of them are actually love songs, which are really beautiful. Alfie wrote
Aw.
those. They're pretty. And my family doesn't even believe that it's my music. Let's see. What else? My podcast is on every other Thursday. It's Dimensions of the Supernatural. You can find that on Facebook. What else do I have? Oh, my books are going to be, I'm working on them right now. They're kids' books. And the reason why I'm writing them, because I feel that it's so weird. Parents feel like kids should go to school to be babysat or learn about ethics and morals and values. And the parents should be teaching that. So I figured that if I wrote books about ethics and morals and values, that while the parents are supposed to be reading them at bedtime, the parents will also be taught ethics, morals, and values. So
Smart.
it's going to be a little witchy and friends. So I'm a little witchy, and I will be the lead character in the books. And my friends are going to be the ones teaching the ethics, morals, and values. And the bullies, or the ones that are not doing the right things, are going to actually be real monsters like Frankenstein and Dracula. So my favorites.
Very
will-
cool. That's my
Yeah.
favorite stuff. That's
Um,
all in here. But I'm in a room full of all old Universal Monsters posters, and
yeah.
yeah, I'm a
Um,
huge fan.
But everybody in the book, they'll know who they are, because there will be little Easter eggs attached to them. Like my son will have his football number on him, or the monsters will have something that they'll actually be the monsters that I've dealt with in real life, and they'll have some little Easter egg that goes to them too. I don't know, Jen, what else? What can I?
Your
the
Magic
wedding.
Matrimonials.
yes.
So I book up very quickly, especially September's and October's. But I do weddings all year long. I do them during the week. I do elopements. As long as there are valid licenses, I will marry someone. And I write the weddings from scratch. And I base it off of the person's love story. So that's really different
Aw.
about my weddings. So, and I do add like little touches. I do hand fastings, I do ring blessings, and I add little witchy things. I open a circle of elements, whatever anyone wants to add to that. So my website is www.lilwitchy.com.
Do you do like vow renewals and all that?
Yeah. Yeah, I do baby blessings instead of, because some people are not Catholic and they don't want to do
A baptism.
a baptism. So I do a baby blessing, and I talk about the name that they chose and why it was chosen. And it's really interesting. I love what I do.
It shows. Yeah. It's wonderful.
And don't forget your readings. You do.
I do readings. I do tarot card readings. I do psychometry, which is really neat. And if you don't know what that is, it's holding on to an item, or even if I don't meet with you personally, I can see an item online and I can read the item and tell you where it is, or where it's from, or what a person. It could be just a piece of cloth even, and I could tell you what it meant to someone. I do remote viewing. I do cleansings of homes or structures. I do investigations, pretty much any type of readings.
And you do parties. What was that?
I was having a rum and a Coke, listening to you guys, having some popcorn. I had my feet elevated. I was like an ottoman. I was like watching my own show as if it was pre-recorded and already out on YouTube. So I want to thank everyone for that. It was a really special evening. Thank you so much.